with the new design is that it'll have increased flow capacity, the new bridge, which is anticipated to improve the current condition of the erosion and slow it down and mitigate it down. So part of the design considerations in the bridge are assumed to be an improvement to reduce the erosion, and then by adding this erosion control is only an additional betterment to give long-term assurances that erosion isn't hopefully be a concern for us.
Well, no, that's good to hear. A lot of money going into this bridge. It's a well-used, it's a big project, but it's also very well-used. So I'm pleased to see that the engineers think this might slow all that down, because I worry a little bit about the longevity. I mean, you're putting this much money into something, you want it to stand the test of time, right? And not have to go back 5 years from now and say, got all kinds of shoreline problems happening again, and it's, impacting the bridge. So that was my concern, and I'm glad to hear that it's been approached that way. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Sorry, so again, I should remind the board then that all of these offsetting measures that we're working together with the city have been run past our engineer that's very familiar with the dam construction. We've worked with Riggs Engineering with our dams for many years, and they're familiar with the structure and how things function here. So the changes or the improvements to the embankment are all will all be properly engineered. Up on the screen in your packages is the conditions of the area at the moment. Shows where the bridge is located, as well as different areas of erosion and issues that were of importance to us as landowners and also as owners of the structure. Areas that we discussed with the city and their and BTE as to areas that we could possibly improve fish habitat. And working with the consultants, the areas in green are areas that can be improved through this offsetting process. Things like bank stabilization, riparian planting, as well as creating and improving on a small wetland area in area 2. Area 3 will focus on riparian planting and erosion and sedimentation control. And area 4 will also look at erosion and sedimentation control through plantings and riparian vegetation. All of these things will help to offset the loss of fish habitat that occurs with the proposed bridge design. And these new areas of offsetting will help improve fish habitat. So there's more improved fish habitat that will be put in over what is lost through the bridge design. This is one of the areas here. This is area 3, looking towards the existing bridge. This is an area that the public tends to use quite often. There's often many people fishing. It's also a place popular for launching canoes and kayaks. You can see where the erosion is happening along the edge there. One of the proposed offsetting features is to fix that erosion and create a more stable personal watercraft launching area, as well as just improving the natural vegetation that is there, making it a little bit more naturalized and improve the riparian vegetation to prevent runoff of sedimentation into the reservoir.
Okay, Jen, before you go off of that, I know, Ralph, you had a question, or do you want to wait?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Comment, that's okay. Because I had discussed this in great length with Joe previously in terms of the impact of the new bridge, but having looked at the design of the new bridge that he gave me and so on, as an engineer, I feel very comfortable with what I'm seeing in this proposal.
Yeah, so this area 3 is one that is of particular interest to me because that's where the public actually gains. And so we're talking about all these plantings kind of restabilizing the area. I think it's probably important that we will have to put up some signage, of course, that explains that. Just because we know the nature of people, we want to make sure we change, maybe change some habits and get people to maybe use this new. I'm interested to see what this new access feature is really gonna look like. I think that's gonna be very important to the whole thing, so that we have a safe place for people to be able to get in and out with their watercraft. And I mean, we're talking kayaks and canoes, we're not talking motorized anything really, but making sure that people have that safe spot, but then, you know, reminding people, take your garbage home, please don't take the plants, like,
Yeah.
simple thing, I know it's simple things, but it is, like, we will have to come up with some kind of signage probably about the whole project, and I'm not saying that all people are bad, but we know things happen, right? So,
To Heather's point, is it going to be like a ramp?
more like just rocks is what I assumed.
I apologize, I'm sorry, I wish I could have had a picture to show what a conceptual look would be. The consultant has done a similar access, I believe it was in Otonabee Conservation Authority. He tried to get pictures sent to us, but when we went out, everything was covered in snow, so it wasn't going to be a very good picture. From what he described, it would have been kind of like stone with step down into the water. Like it sounded.
Looks natural.
It looks natural. It looks easily well accessible for people to use to get their watercraft into the water. It's not like a boat ramp.
No.
It's more of a solid area to kind of bring your watercraft up to so that you can get into and with vegetation.
So just on that point, because I agree with Heather, that, you know, the public are who they are, and you get a lot of people doing different things to the shoreline. They just do. But the signage and the funneling of people to a specific spot, the signage is important, but I think there's also an opportunity as a conservation area for a little bit of a learning curve here for people as well. So I am interested in the conservation area sort of focusing that particular area as an educational piece, if you will, just to get people into a better habit, so that we don't end up with problems and people doing things they shouldn't do. But a lot of money's going into the project, so it's better to do it right the first time, right?
Yeah.
So there may be an opportunity for the conservation area to do some training.
Yeah. I'm sure to Linda, I mean, we know people use the area, so
Yeah.
let's make sure that
Yeah.
it's nice.
Thanks, Jen.
This is area 2 on your drawings. This is kind of an interesting little feature that is beneficial to the CA in many ways. It would be creating and expanding on a little wetland area that is directly attached to the reservoir. This is important. It is one of our main goals as an authority, something that we've been working towards over the last years through our stewardship program is improving, restoring, and maintaining wetland features in the watershed. We have less than 1% within the watershed, so anything that we can do to improve, restore, maintain wetlands is always a benefit, especially since this one will be directly attached to the reservoir. Makes it more of a nursery area for fish that are already in the reservoir, and can help improve habitat that way. So it's kind of an exciting little benefit, a really nice offsetting measure. Any questions about that one?
So that's the big recommendation.
The big recommendation, so I will read it. So whereas the City of St. Thomas proposes to replace the Dalewood Road Bridge, Dalewood Road Bailey Bridge, and whereas the City of St. Thomas is required to undertake DFO offsetting measures to complete the project, be it resolved that Kettle Creek Conservation Authority grant permission for the City of St. Thomas to undertake works on authority property in accordance with approved DFO offsetting plan, provided that all necessary permits and insurance are in place prior to work commencement.
We got a mover and seconder for that? Ralph? And Steve? Okay, further questions or dialogue? I'm glad you didn't put the Dalewood Road temporary bridge. Temporary as long as I've been alive, I think, so.
It's on.
If there's no further questions or comments, then on the motion, all in favor? And that's carried unanimously. All right. This is an exciting project. I'm looking forward to seeing it done. It's going to be a very unique bridge too. Not a lot of these structures around, so I'm looking forward. So I know staff, city staff are excited about it as well. So. Okay, next up, planning regulations activity report. Joe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the report was sent on your advanced packages. One letter of interest that staff has issued with regard to one of the plan input review was attached in your advanced packages regarding the consent application. As you'll note, we did recommend conditions of approval that relate to access. So because the consent is on a lot where currently the access is shown to be overtopping during a flood event, under the provincial policy statement, we require them to demonstrate safe access. So what that means is the landowner will have to get confirmation of elevation grades of the crossing, and depending on those results, might be in a good position or might have to do some amendments to the access so that we can support the consent. So that was just one matter that was in your advanced package to draw your attention to. With regard to Section 28 permits, staff have only issued 2 permits since the last meeting. They were both for municipal projects. And we're also in this situation because of the original concerns and comments of the authority relating to the Dalewood Bridge replacement. We're seeking the board's approval to issue the permit for that one. Staff is confident that we're at a point in reviewing the application that it currently will satisfy the tests of the regulation. Primarily of noted interest is the bridge elevation is actually going to be a meter higher than the current bridge. So if you recall, that bridge was closed in 2009 because of a flood event. It's now going to be a meter higher, well above the Hurricane Hazel standard elevation. It also is designed to create a greater capacity for flow. So the span of the bridge is larger. Through that, the engineers have confirmed that that will actually reduce the potential concern of the active erosion we're seeing. And then again, with what we've heard from Jen's report, we now have those additional measures in place to give us some satisfaction, concern that the downstream erosion isn't going to be an issue. And again, I would just reiterate that we had our own Riggs Engineering review the materials in consultation with us. So staff is satisfied that the tests of the regulation can be met, and we're seeking in addition to the normal recommendation that the planning regulations activity report be received, we're also looking for direction from the board that a permit be issued under Ontario Regulation 18106 to the City of St. Thomas for the Dalewood Road replacement based upon the merits of the application and attachments thereto.
Okay, I need a mover and seconder on that recommendation. Dave and Ian, questions or comments? Seeing none on the motion, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. All right, brings us to the end of our open session. Can I get a motion to go in camera? Steve and Max, all in favor? That's carried. Take a 10-minute break.